trying to load iBoot on older Pentium unit loading Macintosh. I've installed the bootloader and booted to iBoot on an older Pentium D unit. I'll do that again. This is the disk I'm using. I don't know if this process is going to work at the moment because the older systems do have some failure. So I'm hoping this does work. If not, I may have to clear the CMOS and write zeros to the hard drive because every Apple operating system burns into random access memory. That's how on Macintosh you get to download it from the internet with, I believe, Command R. Restore your computer from the internet. Not a good way. I mean, I suggest getting the operating system and loading it. But basically, we're going to try to boot to iBoot from Tony Mac 86. So once we're at the iBoot legacy screen, we remove iBoot from DCD, and we're going to put in Snow Leopard 10.6. We're going to tap the F5 key to see if we get the operating system. If we do, we may have an install. I don't know. Sometimes, like I said, it burns into memory. It burns into the master boot record of the hard drive, making it difficult to reinstall as a single install. Can be very difficult. So it doesn't always work, but I have a Mac OS X installed, and hopefully it'll run. Let's find out. Looks like we may have something. Can't be too promising though. Like I said, Apple is a very funny system. They made it that way, just like Microsoft made a monopoly. I don't blame them, kind of in a way, because they want their computers running on their systems, not PCs. Does it pay to buy a Mac? Well, yeah it does. The hardware is good, but if you could build better, why not? You should be entitled to install whatever you want on whatever you want. Me personally, I'm a server administrator from Ventos.com, so I deal with a lot of Unix problems that are way far greater than this. Believe me, I get stuck in the server sometimes, and that's very complicated. I mean, actually, I have domain names that are stuck, and I have to go in and run command lines to execute domain names from the, actually, right inside the directories of the structure of the domain controller. So yeah, I've run into quite a bit of problems. But with this here, everybody says we need an i7 or an i5. I have this running right now on a dual core Intel, and I also have it running on here right now. As you can see, I don't know exactly how how fast it's going to run on this system, or it depends on what you're using for programs and so on and so forth, or how good you can program, or what programs you could get that are compatible with your system. Because not all of them are. There's some out there, drivers that are required. So we're at the English screen. Here we're going to select English and go with Mac OS X install, preparing install. Now here in the disk utilities, we want to come up here and we want to go into disk utility. Okay, we want to select the disk that we're going to install the operating system on, which will be this here. Okay, we're going to select partition table. We want one partition on this. You could put two, whatever you feel like doing. However many partitions you want, that's up to you. I would rename the drive. I'd name it Macintosh HD. OS X Extended Journal 250 gig drive. Go into options, select GUID partition table. That's the only one that will work with this. And we want to say OK, and we want to apply. And now we're going to erase untitled, and it will be renamed with Macintosh HD. So we're unmounting disk, we're remounting disk, we're formatting read and write on a GUID partition table. And it looks like we have a good format going on the O Extended Journal. It's complete. Okay, so that's completed. Let's move over to close this. Okay, and let's continue with our install. Okay, so we're going to agree to this, and this is the drive we want to install on. Okay, the arrow will appear, and we're going to hit install. Now remember, I can't guarantee this is going to work on your unit. I don't know if it's going to work on this. Actually, this is my first time on this unit. I did have to make some changes into the BIOS, ACPI, clear out the CMOS, reprogram a couple things, and of course make my DVD the first boot. If you go into your BIOS, you could go into boot and the boot sequence and select the CD-ROM as your first boot device. You want to do that so that, of course, we could read from the CD. As we boot, we wanted to be able to read the disk first, not the hard drive. For safety precautions, some people use a BIOS password and then basically set their functions however they want to. I don't believe in doing that, but we're going through an install process right now, as you can see. It looks good so far. As far as the install goes, it looks like we're doing pretty well. I do again repeat, I recommend getting a copy of Snow Leopard 10.6 from Apple. Don't download anything from the internet and expect to not have problems. I don't recommend using it. You could get a retail copy of Snow Leopard for probably about $19 from Apple. So if you rather do that versus download, I would do that. That's what I suggest. Because some people try to use these downloads and they end up with a lot of problems, and then they do a lot of work on their Macintosh system software, and they end up finding out later on that their system has backdoors in it and it's hacked, because it's not an operating system from Apple. It's an operating system that somebody put together and manipulated. Also, depending upon your system, your older system, like this here is probably 5, 6 years old, maybe 7 years old. It's Intel Pentium D. I think it's like close to what was like almost when they came out with their first dual core. Because in Windows it was saying it was a dual core unit, but it's not really a dual core. It's just a 3 gigahertz Pentium D unit with an Intel eMachine system board. Now, during this install, you may want to, I can't guarantee this install is going to go all the way through. I've seen them collapse during install. But chances are it is going to take. You may want to keep the mouse moving, because during this install, depending when it's loading the video drivers, you may collapse it may crash because the taskbar that you see for the install, the install bar here, may be not in the right place that it's really supposed to be. So it's not giving a true accurate value of where it's really at the install process. So you may want to just move this around a little, your mouse, your cursor, to see where it's at. Just keep an eye on your install, because you know, every driver is different. I'm not running any video card boot up driver, because you need your video card in the boot up driver as well to do the install. And you can get that at TonyMac86.com. Now don't forget to also have your iBoot CD ready, your iBoot Legacy, or whatever boot you used to load up the system. You're going to want to have that ready when this installation is done, and place that in the system when the system's restarted, and boot to that, your new system install. But you're going to need this CD to boot to that. We're just about done. The installation is complete. We're a success. We're going to restart the system. And don't forget, we're going to take out the disk right here. And we want to remove Snow Leopard and put in the Legacy bootloader. It boots kind of fast. So, for an older system, she's kind of fast booter. So if you fall short, just reboot, do a hard boot, a cold boot, whatever suits your style. Control Alt Delete or reset button on the thing. So now there's our Apple Macintosh HD. Okay, and we're going to boot to that. Comes the Apple screen, the welcome screen, which, you know, this is what you should be seeing after your install. Hyphen-Eigen, Hufenabend, Pfeifel Schnitzel, and Chinese, and Bentenafro, and Tuta Faru, and Benevetto. I don't speak too many languages, but here is your big X that you asked for, correct? Okay, there you go. Before you begin, it wants to set us up with the keyboard. So we're going to say OK, and we're going to hit our key beside the Z, identifying the keyboard. So we hit the Z beside that. We're going to hit the Z, which is the / on the other side. We're going to select Continue United States, Continue United States, US, Do Not Transfer, and you could use, my computer does not connect to the internet at this moment, and fill out your name and all that information. So after filling that out, you're going to see this next one, which what are you, home business, or select the best what describes you, or IT person, medical, architecture, whatever. Stay in touch with software updates, latest information. You could keep that checked. And hit continue, and then, you know, select yourself a password, whatever you want to put in there. So we have our password set, whatever we want for a hand. I don't know, use whatever you think comes close to your password. But my hint is nowhere near my password. So anyways, you don't have to use register now. You could use register later, and continue, and your time zone, and your current time, and don't forget to register, and done. And bam. That's it. Alright. There's your Macintosh desktop. Just as you ordered. One thing you might want to notice is going into your Finder. Okay, you might want to go into Applications and into your Preferences and into your Network Settings. In here you may need a driver called Kext from TonyMac86.com. Other than that, that's it.